Our busy news day. At any moment now, the NAACP is expected to vote on a resolution that would condemn Tea Party supporters for what it is calling racist behavior. My next guest says it is the NAACP that is promoting racism here. Tea Party activist, radio talk show host Lisa Fritsch joining me right now. Lisa, what do you make of this? Because they're going to go across the board and say the supporters of this Tea Party movement in and of themselves are racist.
Well, it disturbs me, Neil, to constantly see the NAACP on the wrong side of the issue. You know, rather than focus on whether or not the Tea Party is racist or not, why are they not concerned about the national debt, which in fact is not racist, however, doesn't discriminate and is scheduled to wipe all of us out and hinder the advancement of not only colored people, but all people? How is it that they can focus on whether or not Tea Partiers are racist or not? That's not even the issue, when in fact the Tea Party is about fiscal responsibility and smaller government. The NAA finds itself not aligned with the Tea Parties as it should be and promoting the advancement of black people with individual thought of mind and following their own convictions, but sadly they find themselves aligned with this radical and fanatic new Black Panther Party, who is also coming out and on a mission to depict the Tea Party as racist.
So, you know, I've covered a couple of these Tea Party events in Sacramento. I've been in Atlanta. I've been in Washington. And one thing I've noticed is, well, I think it's fair to say it's an overwhelmingly white crowd. It's not exclusively a white crowd, and there are many African Americans with whom I've chatted who take offense to the racist notion. What do you make of how this affects them and minorities who feel that they've been slighted?
It's really time for minorities, as we see the NAACP move more radical to employing racist tactics. It's really important for black conservatives, any black American, even if you're liberal, to start speaking out so that we don't become this kind of silent majority who want peace, who want racial equality and racial conciliation. We don't want to be divided along those racial lines anymore. It's very clear that the NAACP is not about just promoting racial equality and the advancement of black people. It's about kowtowing a liberal agenda and to try and stifle the American voice of people who are against the government growing, who are against this administration's policies. They are taking on political activism, not equality and civil rights issues. So I urge any black person to go to the Tea Party's rallies, if you feel so convicted to get more involved politically so that you can speak intelligently and with conviction on issues that matter: the economy, jobs, all of these regulations that are going to stop jobs in the future that this administration is plugging, the healthcare crisis that's waiting down the pipe. These are the things that black people need to be talking about and discussing, not whether or not a few people who are getting together and exercising their political right to make government smaller and employ financial fiscal responsibility, whether or not those people are racist. Because at the end of the day, even if some of the people are racist in the Tea Party, how in the world does that make a difference to the average black American?
Then switch it around, Lisa. How does it affect the NAACP if its rage appears to be selective? In other words, a year or so ago, when there was this African American who was handing out anti-Obama signs at a rally, and some union workers there, I think service union workers there, started jumping on him and kicking him and beating him. Where was the NAACP rage? In other words, I'm going to say it's perfectly fine if you want to be enraged about this and make your case, whatever. But it just seems inconsistent and rather selective.
And it's very sad for them, and it's very sad to see an organization stoop to such a low level after having an era of progress and a great platform of advancement and equality. What it does is it hurts race relations for all people, because just as, you know, there are Muslims who don't agree with radical terrorists and say they're peace-loving and Islamic, you know, and they love their religion. This is a time where black people are at a crossroads. Either we're going to be silent and be considered part of this meltdown, this fanatical and radical racial meltdown, and all of this profiteering and exploiting of race.
But you will acknowledge.
Say,
I'm sorry, Lee, but you will acknowledge that there is selective rage here. In other words, this incident, you don't have the ability right now to look at this footage from last year where this African-American guy, he was just pummeled by a crowd. No one in the NAACP spoke out against that. I didn't hear Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton ran against that. It just seems inconsistent.
And Neil, isn't the timing curious that just on the cusp of them going into this meeting about this resolution, that they get a visit from the First Lady, Michelle Obama, who tells them to increase their discipline, to increase their intensity?
Yeah, it is weird. All right.
It's very weird. So they're now out doing the administration's bidding, which is to get black people riled up against the Tea Parties, because they know that the Tea Party is part of the large reckoning that's going to happen in November.
Lisa, thank you very much. Lisa Fritsch in San Fran.
Thank you, Neil.